Welcome everyone on this January the 15th for our weekly wisdom call with our friend and my colleague, Alexander the Great, Nemo. And we haven't been able to speak with each other, Nemo and I, much over the holidays. He was away and I was preoccupied with things and stuff. And it's really good to be able to catch up without a lot of preempting, front loading what we're going to talk about. Because this evening I'd like to talk about the momentum we have going into 2024. There's some really interesting astrological stuff that I'm not an astrologer, I'm just a thinker, and I'm paying attention and reading and interpreting what other people say and looking at the numerology and then just looking at the obvious momentum of things in cycles, because I see everything as cycles in humanity, and we're finishing up a couple big cycles astrologically and astronomically, and as we're moving further into the age of Aquarius, the whole idea of revealing, because that's what the water bearer does, Aquarius, as the water is being poured, it cleanses, it washes away dirt, debris, things that have been hidden, and reveals the spirit. And so it'll just be a great time to talk and hang out. And Alexander Nemo has been a friend for several years now. What, 3 years probably? 3, 2, something like that? Yeah. Here, let me unmute you. There you go. There you go. How long?
Now I get to talk fine.
Yes, that's right. So it's been a number of years, and we first just met at expos where he would be busy all the time and I'd be busy all the time, and we'd talk, and he came and grabbed tuning forks the very first time he saw me and goes, God, I love these things. I want to play with these things, all that stuff. And then we've just hit it off since then. And even though our paths are languaged differently, and languaging is an action, it's not a noun, it is a verb, just like God is a verb. God's not a noun. And the idea that what he does and what I do, his path and my path, are both explaining and breaking down and putting together systems of interpretation and application for the same types of things, moving towards the same end game. I think it's just great. And while most people in our culture today are huddling towards people that think, look, feel the same as they do, I tend to do just the opposite, because that's where I get to challenge my information. That's where I get to challenge my life's experiences and how I've interpreted them. Yeah, because I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking to improve myself. And if you just hang out with people that are like you, then you're just not going anywhere. You're moving laterally. You're just moving laterally. And I think that part of our spiritual opportunity as we move into Aquarius is to move vertically by challenging our belief systems, challenging our momentum, and see what is left standing.
True.
Yeah. So
we challenge each other all the time. It's like, and we get into trouble because people don't understand that there's such a wide variety of ways to define something or look at something. And it's not that anything is right or wrong. It's just everyone has to have, in the beginning, when I always tell my people, it's like, I can give you structure, and as you grow, then your structure is going to change. It's like, here's the training wheels to learn how to ride your bicycle. After that, you'll figure it out. And then they'll be like, how do I know if I'm right? Well, if it keeps on working, then you're good. If it doesn't, or if it fails, then you have to change something.
Right. Don't keep dragging it around with you.
Right.
Just change something. Don't ever be afraid to change. The way I equate that in my own life, just in a really 3D way, is if I train my body at the gym in the same system of exercises continuously over a period of even 3 or 4 months, all development stops, all improvement reaches an end game and you're just done. You're not going to get any better. It's
Right.
not until you challenge yourself by changing your systems. That's called muscle confusion. And as you do that, then all of a sudden your body springs into growth, development, challenge, dexterity improves, everything improves, because your body now has to think, what am I doing here? Wait a minute. And so, well, what are you feeling just in your gut about the time that we're in?
It's really odd. It's like the past 3 months have just been an absolute wreck for so many people. But then I also think that astrologically or let's call it group consciousness has been moving toward such a cleansing spot that people are getting rid of a lot of things or challenging their own perceptions, and therefore it has put them in lots of, let's call it tight spots, because everyone's trying to hold on to what they think they knew rather than where they're headed. I mean, people have been financially falling apart, jobs have been falling apart, the way people are viewing the world just doesn't work anymore, and the people, let's say, in control of the situations are definitely not making it easier. And right now, I think it's a point for a great opportunity for growth, but I also think that, man, there's going to be some really rocky roads ahead that you just have to be able to find yourself and stay in your center, because I don't think it's going to be, let's say, pretty.
Right. It's the trust in Allah, but tie up your camel.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right. And I certainly agree. The revealing that's happening is, it's like pulling back the curtain on the wizard, and the wizard is screaming and yelling.
Right.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. That's really what's going on now from the Wizard of Oz. And what's great about that, everybody, is that scene where Toto pulls back the curtain. The Toto is, of course, the inner child that pulls back the curtain and reveals that. That's almost the end of the story.
Yeah.
That shows where we are as a species right now. We're almost there. It's scary. The wizard's going like this, screaming and yelling. Flames are going up everywhere. Wars, rumors of wars, right? You have pandemics, and then the next pandemic that's coming, and you have food shortages, supply chain issues, environmental disasters, all kinds of stuff. And that's all different forms of the wizard.
And it's also, it's really interesting how people will buy into the fear mongering, because for all the stuff that they say is happening or is or isn't happening, and granted it's in the news and some things are going crazy, but for the lack of a better word, a lot really, where we are, prices aren't great, there's some finance, but for all the stuff that they say is going on, it's really not happening. And on the subtle level, it's actually getting better. Technology is moving in, and I even heard that, I don't remember where the research facility was, but they managed to duplicate, or what is it, fission reaction 3 times. And they said if they can get it to work steadily, that's like free energy for everybody.
Yeah, for the planet.
Right.
It'll be like Back to the Future. Throw a banana peel in there and you're good to go.
Right. So it's really amazing how many people are holding on to the fear because of what they're used to and not willing to move ahead. People are still trying to tell me, no, fossil fuels are the only way to go. We need those. I'm like, how do you figure? But it's amazing when you see it. But even look at all the stuff that's going on with food awareness. All the fast food companies that have been caught with those horrendous levels of heavy metals and everything else in the food. And then I was sitting there looking for stores. I go to Costco quite a bit, and I had just read an article 2 months ago how Costco's heeding the plea from their consumers to stay away from stuff like that. And man, I was in Costco today, and everything I picked up was like no GMOs, no pesticides, no RSVP. It was amazing. They've really cleaned up their game a lot and trying to offering, an awareness to what they're doing. And I applaud them, but I think so many other stores have to move that same way because we're tired of poisoning ourselves.
That's right. It's like 40 years ago, the only place you could get organic food, organic veggies, organic meat, any of that stuff was way overpriced at a health food store, and the veggies were old. They weren't worth really buying. Either that or you had your own garden at home.
Right.
I remember doing all that. And now you can go and get great organic stuff, hormone-free, free-range eggs, no chemicals, nothing. You can get that most anywhere. And you do have to read your labels because there's a lot of crap. But it's tremendous. And even though we're really honestly not in a free market system, it's controlled by the big players, we on the other end of that equation demand things.
They're being pushed.
That's it. That's right. They're being pushed, so they have to bring it out.
Right. When I bought Hellman's mayonnaise today, and the last time I bought it in Publix, I literally threw it out because it had, contains bioengineered food.
Right.
I picked up Hellman's and Costco's today. It didn't have that, and then it said on the top, it goes product of Canada, because Canada doesn't allow any of that stuff.
Right.
So, it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. And so while things are improving, the media, but they're really not media, it's the propaganda ministry, right? It's the information dispensary systems,
right?
Are trying to tell you to be afraid, be very afraid.
Oh, sure.
Today is the caucuses in Iowa, right? And I went, to Palmer, which is in Davenport, Iowa,
mm-hmm.
And I know that it is but cold.
Oh yeah.
And all you're hearing is about, oh my God, it's record-breaking cold, and 10 degrees or 20 degrees below zero actual temperatures, and also, yeah, I mean, that's pretty severe. But I finally heard somebody say on one of the things on the radio, I was coming back from my acupuncture appointment this afternoon, and somebody called in and said, look, if you live in Iowa and you can handle this, you should be living in Florida.
Right. Oh, yeah, they're used to it, but the media will make something like, look how horrible this is, and all the people out there are like, this is wintertime, this is what happens.
Right. Every once in a while, you're going to get nailed with something like this, and all of their infrastructure is set up for it.
Right.
It handles. They had little problems at the airports where, like, the luggage machines were sticky because it was so cold, even, because it's outside to inside. Yeah.
The ramps.
And, but it's just drama, unnecessary drama. And that, to me, spiritually bridges, and it is kind of a festering infection from the religions telling you that you're broken, you need to be fixed, you're a sinner, you have to repent.
Right.
You have all of these inadequacies about you, you're missing something, all of that. And it's just transposed into a coarser environment here.
Yeah, well, just like when you do readings, when my people say, oh, but what happens if this isn't right and this, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I said, your job is to become you and to become comfortable and centered. And everyone is trying to judge this right or wrong thing off of somebody else's script. I'm like, stop it. You can't. As long as you're happy and you're doing what you want to do and what you can do, then you're moving forward. My job as a reader to helping people just like you, it's helping people get out of their own way, reclaim their power, and let go of all the stupidity that's around them rather than get trapped up in it.
Right. Right. Walk out of your own self-made purgatory.
Right.
And I was just thinking about, at this time, as you were mentioning, things are improving. And one of the things my mom used to say to me a lot as a kid growing up, because, I didn't fit in. I was in private school and there was a bunch of rich kids, and I didn't really know how rich they all were. And I wasn't the rich kid. I was not. And I didn't fit into their social structures, their country club lives, any of that stuff. And my mom used to tell me that whatever you feed grows, Christopher Tim's. You know,
Right.
whatever you feed grows. So if I fed how I don't fit in, how I was unhappy, how I didn't get along with any of the people, then I would have more of that. You know, and it was true.
Sure.
You know, and so what I began to feed were the things in school that I really loved, which was music, science, art, sports, you know, and I just kind of dealt with everything else. And whatever you feed grows. So I got more into music, more into science, more into the things that I really love, literature and stuff like that. And I could care less about the whole social structure.
Right. And those types of releases is something that I feel that everybody has to get into in order to not try to judge themselves or overcompensate or worry about where somebody else is, because it just doesn't matter.
Right. Right. It really doesn't matter. But boy, for some people, but whether they're adults or kids, that whole social acceptance thing is huge.
Right.
You know, and it begins to leverage their whole world. You know, and social media has contributed a lot to that. You know, and it's just more distractions. So.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten carried away with social media. It's like, oh, look what I had for breakfast, or look what my dog did, or I went to the bathroom. I'm like, stop it.
Right.
It's awful what people do, because they don't have a life, or they're externalizing everything to make it look like something's going on. It's like, if you took the time away from social media and put it into your own growth or work, you'd be a much happier person.
Right. That's it. And that comes back to whatever you feed grows, in that you and I have been speaking recently about how during COVID from 2020 on, I didn't follow through with the plans that I had done over the previous 30 some years of teaching. You know, this is the 36th year of me doing this. And I didn't make a plan. I didn't develop a vision of what I wanted in the upcoming year. So therefore, there was no strategy. So therefore, I'm winging it as I'm going through the year.
Yeah.
And nobody running any kind of a business, and you have to think of this as a business, even though it's your path.
Yeah.
You know, nobody would be successful. It's like virtually impossible. You know, so as the fall came, as I began to feed, you know, whatever I wanted to grow, which was all of this, I put together the vision, held the vision clearly, then a plan arrives, and then a strategy as to how to implement the plan. And the thing that's really important about that is to hold that vision in your hand, but your hand has to be open. You know, this is symbolism, right? You're holding your hand open. You don't want to be coveting it like this. You want to just be available, because as you're proceeding on with your strategy and your implementation, then the vision that you've had is open to being adjusted. You have improvisation, you have adaptation to a changing circumstance and condition in your reality. But if you're attached to just having it the way that you want, then you're not seeing the opportunities over here, because you become myopic.
Right. And it's any type of business plan or working anywhere in the field, especially for me and you, because we're pretty much like solo people.
Right.
We don't have the staff. So it's hard to get out of bed and say, I have to do 2 videos, I have to post this, I have to send out an email. At the same time, those things don't produce the paycheck to buy the bills or pay the bills and buy food. So you're always like fighting this internal battle. So when people think that you and I don't go through the same stuff, it's like, no, sure we do, because it's always this big juggling act of where it is, but you just get in it and do it and hope that it flows.
That's right. And today I had breakfast with two of the men from my neighborhood, and one of them is a contractor, and the other one's a retired guy from AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his birthday today. The guy from AT&T, he's 65, and he's retired. He gets his severance. He gets his package from AT&T, and his wife's retired from the post office. They're both getting Social Security. They're both getting their package. They got no worries whatsoever.
Yeah.
House was paid for 20 years ago, right?
Right.
And he's got nothing to live for. And this is where I'm going with everybody spiritually here. He's got nothing to do. I said, well, what have you been doing? You're retired now. You're done. He doesn't do sports. He doesn't play golf. He doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't do anything. He says, I'm just wasting away.
Wow.
I said, wasting away.
That's horrible.
Yeah. And I said, not as long as Tom, that's the other man, not as long as Tom and I are here. Tom's a contractor. He'll be working like me all of his life, because that's your work is your joy.
Right.
And so everybody has to develop a reason.
Sure.
Yeah, you have to have a reason to exist, a reason to take the next step. And like Nemo was saying, everybody, it's not easy. You get up when you're in business for yourself, when you're on the path for yourself, because no one can be on the path for you. You have to do it for yourself. No one's going to do your spiritual exercises for you but you.
Right.
No one can come in this office and answer several pages of emails every morning but me. No one can do that.
Right.
And no one can do the promotional videos. No one can deal with all of this stuff. It all falls on you. And I really wouldn't have it any other way.
It's really funny with the whole falling on you thing. I've had 2 people this year who have come in for readings. One was by phone, and they actually said, well, I heard that you have the ability to take away all my karma and fix everything. And I laughed. I'm like, no. I said, karma is your own balancing act. I can't do it for you. There's no one in the world that can pull your karma away and neutralize it, because that's your balancing act. So, but someone says that they could charge me X amount of money and do this. I'm like, I am telling you that that's definitely not me, and there is no one that I know that can do that.
And for $500, I'll take away that hex that's on your family.
Yeah, right, it's the same type of deal. I'm like, and even if I told you I couldn't, that was the next thing. How are you going to prove or disprove that I did or didn't do that?
Right.
And so it's like people are always looking for somebody else to do something for them, and it doesn't work. Like you said, your path is yours. You're the only one that's going to gain benefit out of your path, and your insights are yours. You and I, as readers or mystics or whatever the current label is, we just merely provide tools, insight, or a good laugh and saying, oh my God, how did you come up with that idea? Because, sometimes it's just nuts, but everything is a matter of personal discovery. Yeah. Tools are one thing, but everything else is how you use them and what you're going to discover.
That's right. That's right. And with that in mind, each of us hold the keys to our own salvation, our own liberation.
Right.
It's not the savior. It's not the guru dude or dudette. It's all on you. That's all dysfunction junction from previous ages, and we're leaving all of that.
Was that your coffee, Tim?
Yeah. I'll clean that up later.
As long as it didn't fall on your computer, that's good.
No, that's fine. It's good that I have tile here in the office.
Yeah. I could just hear Yolanda yelling at you now. I told you not to put that coffee there.
Yeah, no, right. And she'd be telling me not to be drinking coffee this late, but it's been a long day, so I need a little bit. But I had 9/10 of it, so I'm not worried.
Oh, that's good.
So as we proceed on into this year, a number of the astrologers that I've listened to have talked about the opportunities, that this is really a good opportunity year for people in entrepreneurial startups, for small business with low overheads to move forward. And basically what they're talking about, in my interpretation, is service-oriented industries.
Right.
Consultation work, and in spiritual realms, you could say body work, healing work, teaching, all of it. So I feel really good about where we're moving this year. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what specific things that you do? You know, because I know you teach classes, I know you do tarot, but you're kind of a walking encyclopedia of a variety of things mystical.
And it's been sort of weird. It's like, you know, even I've been thinking about literally what I do or how to go about it, because people always say, but what is your label? It's like, are you a medium? Are you this? And it's like, I'm whatever that person needs at that point. And, you know, that information comes through. So being a mystic, it's like, okay, I just look at it this way. I'm good at what I do because I understand how stupid I am. And that keeps me moving forward.
Right.
I said, I'm always open to change, because even if, and I always tell my clients, say, even if you think that you're absolutely right now in whatever you're doing, and you may be, but a year from now, you may look at it and say, wow, that was really wrong. I'm like, no, it wasn't really wrong. It's just that's where you were at that point in time. And so I think my job is providing tools and or information to help people move forward with much less fear, because there is no judgment, or there shouldn't be judgment. Too many people now are worried about doing something wrong or not having the right information, and they keep on jumping from, as you call them, guru to guru, because they're looking for somebody else to do it for them. It's like, no, it's you. People like me and Christopher can only give out tools, give a direction, take you out the door and say, okay, come back in 6 months and we'll see where you are.
Right.
But, you know, and I've been working, tarot is one of my favorite things because it's a nice visual aspect for people. Clairvoyance, of course. Every now and then if someone shows up and I can talk to them for the other side, great. I think I'm moving more and more toward teaching, because that's more fun for me, and I think people get a bigger kick out of it, because I'm always emphasizing the experimentation and the lack of judgment in the classes or what someone is doing. So as a matter of fact, I'm in, where am I this weekend? A store called Moon Dreams in Winter Haven, Florida. I'm there for 2 days doing classes, doing readings, causing trouble, as always. I have virtual classes coming up at the end of the month, just like I think you have a couple too this month, don't you?
Yes.
So, and those have really been good, because, you know, you and I can sit here from our houses, do virtual classes, have people ask questions and interact, and it's comfortable, no traveling, we don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, so, it's great. It's great. And people will have a recording of the class.
Right.
So when are you teaching, and what are you teaching?
Okay, I think it's January 28th and 29th. It's a Sunday and Monday, but I'm doing Foundations of Magic, which is basic symbolism for people who are coming in and want to know about all the basic stuff that they need to know, so they're using the same nomenclature or can have a conversation. And then Monday is Foundations of Tarot, so people can understand what a tarot deck really is, how it works, and, you know, become more functional with it. You're not going to learn how to read tarot in 2 hours, but at least you'll understand a lot more about the tool.
So the 28th and the 29th is Foundations of Magic, and the 30th, which is the Monday, that would be Foundations of Tarot.
Right. Yeah, and then I believe you and I both are at Punta Gorda at the show down there for Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, and I'll be posting all of that stuff in media and in my newsletters starting tomorrow.
Right, and that's on my events page, alexandernemo.com/events. So all the information will be there, so you can come and visit both Christopher and I at the show in Punta Gorda.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be an outdoor event. There's about 50 vendors.
Right.
And
free entry.
Florida outside shows are great.
Yep, and there's no entry fee to come in. It's open to the public.
Right.
So that'll be fun. And so, yeah, there's stuff going on. And, you know, in February we have stuff also. So it keeps on rolling. But so right now the job is mystic, teacher, tarot reader, all of the above. But it's literally helping people move out of their own way, find their own personal power, and become more culpable for what they are. People, it's like, whatever you're doing and whatever choices you make, that's what forms everything that forms the future. people have to get used to that. No one can change that except for the person sitting there.
And that's part of the maturity, you could call it, for lack of a better term in my head right now. As we grow further into the age of Aquarius, the autonomy, the sovereignty that each one of us has to develop in order to move further into that bigger realm comes with understanding the power of your choices, understanding the ingredients that make up your choices, your languaging, your self-talk, your interaction with your day-to-day reality. Do you see situations that come up as opportunities or disasters?
Right. How do you program your morning breakfast? What energy are you putting into it? Are you worried about absolute failure, or are you trying to do something that's going to make you happy?
Right.
Are you stuck in the perspective, like people watch the news and it's like, oh, look at all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East or this. It's like, aren't you worried about X, Y, and Z? And my response is, I live in Tampa.
Right.
There's no one running around with an M16 in Tampa.
No grenade launchers in my neighborhood right now.
Right. I said, and it sounds horrible, but this is where my karma and the karma of this general area is. If I was over there, it would be a different reaction. But right now, I live in Tampa. Will I send energy and positive thoughts? Yes, but I live in Tampa.
Right. And those things are not educated to the people viewing that and who become hooked into the adrenaline that generates,
right?
Where they just have that going all day in the background in their houses, either on their TV or on radio, and they're just going.
Yep, and they're feeding energy into it. Like you said, they're feeding that, and that's what's growing.
That's it. Whatever you feed grows.
And I understand people that have, friends or children or relatives in the service and going through this. But even then, it's like for people like me and you, if you're working from a point of being a mystic and reincarnation and whatever, even you being in the service, it's like that was your path. You wrote that in for some reason, and unbeknownst to us, your reason is right for them. Yeah. And people get all upset because this is horrible. Like, just like movies, certain people like horror movies, other people like romantic comedies, other people like, adventure movies. People come in, they write the scripts for their lives by what they like and what they have to resolve or accomplish. We're not the ones to judge somebody else's life path. And as soon as people start looking at it that way, a lot less stress will be running around.
And it's important. I meet people online or in person, and I can say every week of my life for 36 years now, that are at a crossroads.
Right.
And they can, and I don't believe it's by accident that they happen to bump into me at the grocery store, or at the gym, and they just start talking,
mm-hmm.
And all I can do is basically get help, as you pointed out, that person is now petitioning me, whether they know they're petitioning me or not.
Right.
And it's my job. I can offer them tools that through my ability to kind of tune into where they're at, will help them at that level that they're at. But I can't use the tools for them. I can't turn them around, point them in this new direction. I can't do any of that. All I can do is give them the opportunity,
mm-hmm.
and then bless them, send them on their way.
And then it's up to them. They have to make their choices with what they're going to do with that.
That's right. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I know that I lose a lot of people because I always tell them, it's like, I can't do this for you. Here's the way I'm looking at this, but this is your path. Only you can fix it, and you can find your perspective. Since I don't tell people what they want to hear, a lot of people don't come back for follow-up readings or whatever because I didn't float their boat with what they wanted to hear.
Right. Oh, no, I remember all of those experiences in my own world. One of the things I've noticed as the energies have changed over, all these years of doing this,
mm-hmm.
is that, for instance, I just had the first module of the mystery school teachings.
That's right, yeah.
2 and 3, I think it was. at the Hilton here in Melbourne. And in previous generations of that class, I've had people ranting at me, getting up, walking out of the room, all kinds of stuff, in the middle of one of my sections of material. And when people are forewarned, this is going to be confronting. This is going to be an accelerated journey. This is not a step-by-step playpen experience. This is the in your face, let's get it done. Right. And, but in this class, nobody had a problem with any of the big ideas that I was proposing. People were looking at me like, oh my God, but it wasn't an, oh my God, I got to get out of here. It was, oh my God. Right. Several people in the room were thinking, I've thought that way, but I've never heard anybody put that to words.
Right. And that's a really sad part. It's like whenever I think one of the reasons why I like doing classes in groups, even if I'm at someone's home and I do like a house party for them, I always emphasize the fact that it's like, if you are studying anything magical or mystical, I said, it's really important to have a group around you that you can talk to. I said, because you're going to think you're going crazy all by yourself, because as you grow, your viewpoints and the way you look at the world isn't going to be the same as you did a year or two ago. Right. And if you don't have a support group by saying, someone else saying, I'm thinking the same way and I thought I was crazy, but what's going on? If you don't have a support group to confirm that you're not going crazy and that you're moving more toward freedom, people often rationalize it away and put it away and then stop again.
Right. That's right. And we've both seen that in our years of doing all of this. You see the people that just pull off at a rest stop and there they are.
Right. Yeah. And we've had a lot of people that we have known well who have seized up in their growth or started kicking and screaming at shadows that had nothing to do with anything except their own fears.
Right.
I've had people lately, I've been accused of being a black magic practitioner just because I scared people because, well, how can you know X, Y, and Z and you did this reading and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to be able to do.
Right.
It's not, I always preach against you don't harm anyone, you don't manipulate anyone's karma, you don't do that. I'm like, I'm exactly the opposite, but when it comes down to truth and getting you to move out of your way, it's not my fault if you haven't learned the trick of saying no, and I'm not a black magic practitioner if I have learned to say no or look at you and like, no, I'm not going to do that. But again, as soon as you go against someone's grain of what they expect, then, it screws up some people.
Yes. Yeah. And then their incomplete information and perception forms opinions, perspectives, and it just spins them right out.
Right, and they bury themselves under all that stuff, and that's where they get stuck again.
Yeah.
And it's very sad to watch, and it's like, not my job. They have the information. That's why I have that reading list that I give to everybody. Here's like, Way of the Peaceful Warrior and Many Lives, Many Masters and Illusions. I said, these are all just great things to have someone read so they can just relax and go, oh, there's a different perspective out there. I said, because perspective doesn't come overnight. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of fear to overcome things that you thought were the truth, and then you pass them up and you prove to yourselves that they're not.
Right. And we have to be courageous enough to be able to put that truth that we held so self-evident to the test. And then when it doesn't pan out, to be able to just go, thank you and goodbye,
right,
and just move on.
Or people say, well, when was the last time you were wrong? And I'm like, what time is it? It's like,
right.
It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, if I did something incorrect consciousness, it may have been right 2 or 3 months ago, but things change.
Well, and as a qualifier to what Nemo was saying, he is really on. When he looks at people, he doesn't really need the cards. The cards are a nice
It's a fun
intermediary, and it is, as he said, it's a good visual. But when he gives people insights, he's like Groucho Marx. You remember Groucho Marx with his cigar? And
oh, yeah.
when you listen to the show, his TV show, he's giving people, the contestants that would come on stage, incredible insights. He'd be like reading them as they're coming upstairs.
Right.
And he'd give them an insight, and almost nobody was paying attention, but he still did it.
Right.
And so that's kind of how you are, because you've got a really good way of working with people. Your demeanor is really nice. You're happy and fun, but you can be very pointed all at the same time. And
I think disseminating their fear is a lot to do with it. Just like, if I'm reading for someone for the first time and the death card comes up, I'll lean across the table. I'm like, did you already pay for the reading?
Right.
And that just like freaks their mind. It's like, oh no, you're not serious. I'm like, no, it's okay. Well, I don't know, maybe a little bit, but anyway, and then you have to explain to them, it's like, death isn't death. It's like, it means so many different things.
Right. And that's just, it's great to dismantle and to redirect their anxiety, their stressors, and they become vulnerable. And vulnerable in this way, everybody, means something that's really important to be. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be open to receive.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to answer a question that came up on chat. Someone said, what is the magic of an individual? And I was like, I don't understand the question. Can you rephrase it? Because magic of an individual, Christopher, how would you take that?
I would respond the same way you did. I don't know really what to me, the experience of our existence is magic. I mean, it's just, no one can tell you what life force is.
Right, I would say, like, it's the bubble that you've created for your reality. That's your magic, and then as you grow, that magic changes.
Right. That's
the only thing I can think of. Well, we'll see if they rephrase it for me, because me and you both were like, huh?
What? No, that's just, those are just, and it's good that whoever asked the question asked it, because that's more your languaging than mine. But so.
Oh, I thought you got stuck.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about things, and
they said we answered it, so we did good.
Good, that's good. We have an eclipse coming up, April 8th.
That's right. And is that visible here?
No, not so much in Florida. It'll have an arc going through Texas on up.
Right.
I was looking at it the other day.
Eclipse energy is great energy to get rid of stuff or to dump stuff that you no longer find functional for you.
Yes.
And even though you're not under the direct influence of it, it can still, that magic or those types of rituals or meditations can still be done and directed toward it.
That's right. Yeah, you're still piggybacking on the overall dynamic, the energy.
Right. I'm sorry, Christopher, I'm just reading stuff that pops up.
No,
it's good. How do I clear multi-generational grief energy? Wow, see, that's a really big question, because this is where me and Christopher are going to get like two totally different viewpoints.
Oh, from Jack. Yeah, that's a great Jack question.
Yeah, multi-generational for me is sort of like, are you accepting or grabbing the rope of other people before you and considering that it's yours? And then what I would say in my Groucho Marx way is like, put down the rope and stop grabbing other people's garbage. Because a lot of times you may be in a family that has stuff that's screwed up, but if you're not the one that perpetuated it, it's not yours, so don't grab it. But in the meantime, trying to clear it, there's, from my father's lineage, okay, even worse, it's like that lineage may not have, if it doesn't have a direct connection to you, then it's not yours. It still may be a black mark on the family, but you can still use stuff like energy reclamation or sound clearing to start getting that negative energy away from you that you've bought into for so long. What do you say, Mr. Christopher?
Yep, same thing. Yeah, that whole idea of the ancestral links, don't to me it doesn't really pan into what I see. Your stuff is your stuff. My dad's stuff is his stuff. I may have inherited some of my dad's tendencies, virtues, weaknesses.
Or I've been taught them psychologically from being there.
Right. That's right. But that's all that is. It's the epigenetic principle. It's not a sentence. It's a tendency. We're products of our environment, all of us. And
right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the only time I've seen this not be quote unquote true is, let's say a person has stuff now and they're saying, oh, 150 years ago your great grandfather did this. And I've seen people be in the situation that I'm talking to now, and they were their great-grandfather 150 years ago.
Right.
And that gets a little bit confusing, but that's the only time I've seen that change.
That's true. And that's not a everyday circumstance for me in class. The cultural also weaves a lot into that. Your Greeks, your Italians, a lot of them just seem to gravitate towards, well, my father was like this, my great grandfather was like this, his brothers were all like, and they tend to walk in that type of psychology. So therefore, your thoughts become things.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it actually was that way. It just means that the appearance has been contoured because of your thoughts.
Right. You've adopted I can't talk now. You've adopted thoughts or actions that may not be yours. Or if you're looking at it from like the metaphysical point of view, you may have picked up or bought into a group consciousness archetype. Says, all Greek men do X, Y, and Z, or all Italian men do this. Right. But as we've been talking about, it comes down to where you get to in your growth, and you're able to say no and back out of that.
Right. And so it's good to be able to examine a lot of these things. So Jack, from my perspective, a lot of the mediums / psychics / teachers, I'm not going to say that they were lying or making things up, but it's just like somebody teaching me nutrition, diet, and exercise stuff when they don't know anything.
Or they just don't have the perspective or the experience.
Right. They have 2 years worth of reading, and they've watched some YouTubes, and now they're out there doing it.
Yeah, I have tarot readers come up to me all the time. It's like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years. How long have you been doing it? I'm like, 50.
Right.
And it's like, and I've been learning all the time. Because then they'll say, well, what does this card mean? I'm like, oh, today it may mean this, and then there you go. I don't know.
It's true.
And we didn't mean that. Okay, she said she's an experienced medium at least a decade. When people are talented or skilled or have an open sensitivity, it's very easy for people to get stuck in it and not move past what they think is correct or true, because that challenges reality or perception. Like I said, I'm always proving myself wrong. Sometimes as often as 6 months or once a year, my current reality and thought process gets totally destroyed. I'm like, why didn't someone tell me this before? And they just laugh and say, well, you weren't ready yet. I'm like, yeah, thanks.
Right. And that's very true, what Nemo just said. Einstein calls those plateaus that we reach rest points in eternity. They're not the destination. It's just a rest point in the journey where you're now able to look around, because you climbed the mountain to this level, and you can look around and go, this is cool. And you have to keep in your head, in your heart, that there's always another step to take to another rest stop.
Right.
Another rest point in eternity. It just goes on and on and on. And most people professionally in this field, this is my completely biased and subjective perspective, have reached a comfortable plateau Well, they operate professionally and they do an honest thing. They're not trying to deceive anybody, but they operate at a level that they've been at and they haven't changed. They haven't grown.
And it's comfortable. Like you said, it's that niche. Yeah, I have people all the time say, well, you've become a master, you know this. I'm like, no. This must be your last incarnation. I'm like, I can guarantee you it's not. How do you know it's not? Because I can't walk through that wall. So what does that have to do with it? So when you get to the point where all that karma is resolved and you have that much energy back and truly understand the illusion, then the illusion doesn't bind you and you can walk through that wall. How do you know this? Because I know someone who could do that. And that's what he always says, if it's not your last incarnation, until you can walk through the wall. I was like, yep, point made. So, and that's one of the thoughts that always keeps me very honest and diligent, or always looking for the next, what am I missing step.
Yes, it's really important not to take ourselves and our own progress on the path too seriously.
Oh no, we can't. It's a joke.
Because really, as much knowledge and experience, I mean, honestly, everybody, I mean, as much as I've accrued over 36 years of teaching and doing all this since I've been 13 years old, I know I'm like Schultz from Hogan's Heroes.
I know nothing.
I know nothing.
Yep.
The further you go up on the mountain, the bigger a vista you're privy to, and then you realize that, oh my God, I thought I knew this, but it's actually this, and I know that there's more.
Yep. And that's what keeps the true mystic going. Is like you give up on trying to decide, the little roadmap saying, oh, you are here. There's no way of knowing where you are.
No.
The way you know where you are is you become more happy and less trapped up by all the stuff around you.
Yes. People ask me often, where am I in my spiritual journey? I said, well, right now you're laying on my table.
Right.
We just finished a 10-minute car wash tune-up. Right? Where are you in your journey? So, how much are your readings, and how long is a reading? And
they're $1 million. No, I always say $1 million because then I only have to sell one and I'm done.
You sell one of them. That's right. And then you can split it with me, and then we'll be fine.
If we got it, we share it. Normal readings are 30 minutes, and they're a whole $50 for a half an hour. I don't watch the clock closely, and I get in trouble with that at some shops. But again, the whole purpose is to help people get out of their way and to continue a growth path. So that's always nice. My website is alexandernemo.com. You can find information there about me. You can go to the events page, see the stuff that we have coming up. I'll be with Christopher at the end of the month. Are you doing that little show in not Bureau? Oh, Bureau. That's at the
Bureau. I have to see if I can fit that into my schedule. It's just a one-dayer.
It's a one-day pop-up. Yeah.
It's half an hour down the road.
Right. Yeah. The Grimoire. What is it? Grimoire or Psychic World's Fair or something like that.
Yes.
It's on my events page.
Yeah. I have to see whether, but I'd like to. I think Yolanda would.
Yeah, it's a fun day. But so the readings are there. I have my book out, Magic Beginning the Path. If you're interested, the concept of the book is all about the study of magic isn't to make you psychic. The study of magic is to help you along a healing path and understand that as you put yourself back together, the psychic abilities, or the cities, as Christopher would call them, cities?
Yeah, cities.
Okay. Cities start arising of their own because you already have them. It's just a matter of getting the garbage out of the way that's stopping you from tying in.
That's right. And one of my friends was talking with me about this situation that you've just been narrating about the cities, and it's a dilemma that many people fall into, and that they've been practicing their cultivations, their spiritual exercises. They've been doing all this for years, and they're not having the inner life, the inner lucid experiences that they would desire. And one of the things that I found that's really helped people is change your vector, which means, like, instead of doing the more mystical things that I'm into, light, sound, presence, it's a rather Zen thing, the whole languaging of it and approach to it, then get Nemo's book, and you're doing the same thing. You're just languaging it, and the outer ceremony is different.
Right.
That's all.
Or even becoming mindful, just like start enjoying cooking your meal rather than cooking your breakfast in a rush and being worried about the day. It's like you start programming your energy differently, because if you program it with negative, heavy stuff, then that's what you're getting all the time.
Oh yeah, and that's what I've been doing as I've gotten, as I've told you guys and most of you on the call. I've been juicing a whole lot, since Thanksgiving, I guess, or Halloween, really, with Yolanda, and she's never really gotten into it before, and it takes me a couple hours every other day to juice. I'm going through a 25-pound bag of organic carrots every 3 days.
And you're not even orange yet.
Right, I'm not even orange yet. Right, so, but I'm doing that with love, with a joy, because A, I love the juice, B, I love taking care of her, and C, I have all of this knowledge about how great it is to do it for your body, and it's just filled with happiness, and doing it correctly, filtering it correctly, storing it correctly, all of that. It's just a really nice thing. So it's not really in life what you do, it's how you do it.
Without the expectations of the results.
Yeah.
Because the expectation will push it further away also.
Yeah, just to be really present with where you're at, just to love really what you're doing. So that's where your readings are about, and you're doing them on.
I do them by the phone. I do them Zoom. I'll be at Moon Dreams in Winter Haven, Florida this coming weekend. I'll be at Punta Gorda with you at the end of the month. So I'm available lots of different ways.
So when you're teaching in Moon Dreams, is that just live and in person, or is that also simulcast?
No, right now it is just live and in person, but they want to do a series with me, simulcast and live at the same time. So we're working on that. That'll be a scary new experience.
It's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Because I tend to move around and then I'm out of camera.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I really want to get someone there that's sort of like the producer, to be able to keep up and to read the side prompts of people asking questions from the virtual audience.
That's right. And you've got the nice you've got the nice remote mic system with a lot of
great. I love those. Yeah. Those are the best things you ever told me about. Those are fun.
Oh, those are so useful. It's so nice.
They sound great.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up? I know you just finished the first series. What do you have going on?
Let's see. Well, in March, I've got a Sound Energy Dynamics Intensive. It's the first time I've ever taught level 1, 2, and 3 all together in one big weekend.
Oh, wow.
March 16th and 17th. That's because it's impossible to get people to come together for 3 different weekends now. Everything's just crazy. So I figured we'll just corral everybody together, come for a weekend, and we'll just do a marathon.
Is that in Europe?
No, that'll be in Melbourne.
No, that's right. Melbourne, I'm sorry.
It was the only weekend that I couldn't get the Hilton. So my chiropractor said, well, just come do it in my office. Nobody's here all weekend.
Oh, great.
So I'm just doing it at his place. Give him some cash for doing it. And what else have I got? I've got a monthly workshop series. And the first one is, when is it? January 20th. It's a Thursday. So I think it's the 25th. And
no, Friday's the, oh, no, you're right. No, I'm sorry, yes. You're right. So, I have to think about the dates.
Yeah. That one's about juicing, sprouting, superfoods, and supplements. It's 2 hours. and $20. And each month we're going to have a topic, develop it, 2 hours, $20. And if you take all the classes, which a number of people have signed up, they're just taking all the classes. If you take all of them, instead of being $240, it's $200. So people just went in. And so the first one's, again, about juicing, sprouting, superfoods, supplements, what you do, what you don't do. I've had every kind of juicer on the market, twin gear, mono gear, worm gear, press, triturator, like the old Champions, the centrifuge. It sounds like a lawnmower in your house. All of them. What's good? What's the best bang for the buck? And why do you want to juice? The whole chemistry of juicing is really very different than smoothies. Really different than smoothies. Oh, yeah. Smoothies are great.
Oh, and I've been using the organic beet powder. Oh, what a difference it made in my blood pressure.
Oh, I'm sure that that's a vasodilator. If you remember, I'm so sensitive to that stuff, and my arteries and veins are so clean. When I did too much of the beet powder, I literally passed out.
Right. That wasn't good.
Right at the gym, I began to see stars. You remember I told you all that? Yeah. Sat down in the chair, said, "Honey, there you go." And then they said I was out for about 15 seconds.
Wow.
And it took us 2 times of that happening before we figured out what it was.
No beet powder before working out.
Oh, yeah. No. And my acupuncturist told me through pulse diagnostics that she does that when a person really is that clean inside their system, their vascular elasticity is like that of a child.
Right.
And you wouldn't really give a child that because they don't need it.
Right. But the beets are also great for detoxing and antioxidants.
It's great. And for 99% of the people in first world countries, they can get great benefit from it. Like you said, it drops your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Well, when my blood pressure is already low and my
system
is already very elastic, I literally, the first time they called 911, and when I opened my eyes, I'm looking at paramedics, and not good. Not good.
And you also you're still doing readings. How are your readings available? Where are you? Anywhere?
Yeah, I do an hour reading for $75, and that's a lot of fun for me. I know you enjoyed readings too.
Oh yeah.
And I do them on this conference system, and I don't do them video because I'm just more comfortable with just doing them audio. And everyone's recorded. Everyone gets a recording of their reading for their own review after we're done. And there'll be a number of events also, aside from my monthly workshops. I've got more mystery schools happening. Another mystery school is opening up in Jacksonville. And I would expect that another one will open on the Gulf side.
Oh, great.
Sometime soon, too. So I got the trip to Arkansas coming up at the end of April. There's a show in Memphis that I'm going to do, and Memphis is 3 hours from Hot Springs.
Oh, that works.
Yeah, right, Hot Springs, Arkansas. So we'll just go from the show to Arkansas, where we'll be digging crystals and just having fun with everybody. That'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the tour, but we'll be there at least a week. Mm-hmm. Probably a little more. Camping right there at the Crystal Ground. It's a beautiful campground, full hookups for anybody that has an RV of any kind.
So there's stuff coming up, and it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. And again, everybody, these last years have been good and bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
These last years have knocked all the stability out of everybody's plans.
It's been an adventure.
It's been an adventure, yes. And that's very uncomfortable, but it's really necessary because it wakes people up. So now you really have to take your vision of what you'd like your life to be, develop the plan, the strategy, implement it, move forward. I think this is going to be a really, aside from the world and all of its insanity, a really good opportunity to become fulfilled and successful in all of our endeavors. I know Nemo and I are both looking forward to that this year, because the last couple of years have been just quite, the contrary. And
it's been an adventure, yeah.
Yeah. And there's no reason for it. If you think about it, everyone, each of us has gifts. The Christians would call it gifts of the Spirit. Each one of us has our own unique gifts. And there's no one that can give your gift to the world but you. And while it's not the necessity of your gift to become monetized, to become an income stream in your life or anything like that, it can, and it can lead you to other things to monetize your life in a time where to adapt, to improvise, to be able to get things to work when they really haven't been working.
To focus on gratitude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's what I found one of the big fulfillments in my vision is, as soon as I got my vision for what I wanted this year to be, I noticed I was just naturally filled with just a sense of contentment, gratitude, appreciation. Wow. It was just a warm feeling. Then everything begins to come together. All the dates I want begin to come together. Everything.
Yeah, whenever I tend to get really down on myself, I'll be driving along and I'll be pissy with whatever didn't go right, and then I see someone in a wheelchair with no legs. I'm like, okay, point taken.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But it's been a wonderful chat with you, because we just blow through hours like nothing.
Yeah. Is there any other insights for the year that you see you want to share with everybody as we wind it up?
I really think that probably the key words are openness and redefining the word success, because success really doesn't have much to do with money. It has to do with how you're perceiving the world. And like you said, that calmness where you can say, okay, this is great because I'm a hell of a lot better off than, I could be, or it could be much, much worse. So success and perspective and being open to your own growth and lack of judgment. Stop judging yourself. There is no right or wrong.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, I'm just feeling my way into all of that. And I see a nice field of dreams in front of us this year. Don't get sucked into any of the dramas happening out there.
Don't grab onto other people's ropes.
That's it. And just pay attention to, what's happening in your immediate reality, because that's what you contribute to the collective, is your immediate reality.
Yep, your moment of now.
Yeah. So Ashley, yes, Mystery School is still the second and the third for your second module, which is Doorways 4, 5, and 6. And
what's your website, Christopher?
Yes, my website is ChristopherTims.com.
That was easy.
Yeah, it was easy. And it's 1M. Everyone wants to put 2 M's in my name. It's ChristopherTims1M.com.
Well, sir, thank you very much for having me. Namaste.
Thank you very much for being here, my friend. And we will talk soon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for all the people that showed up, because it looked like we had a lot of people coming and going. So that was it seems like we had a good crowd.
Yeah, we did. And everybody, this will be up on BitChute either later tonight or tomorrow morning. And from there, it'll be up on my media. And I'll send it to Nemo right away.
I'll put it up on my YouTube
out as well.
Yep.
So thank you, and until next time. Baraka Bashad. May the blessings be.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.